Alright, it's at 30 FPS now, so this should help. If these are the exact same settings as I had it last time I was doing this, which I think they are now, then it really shouldn't lag all too much. All the lag that's there should only be because of GoTV pretty much. So yeah, let's hope this is like at least watchable. I mean, it's not, I don't have like a super high-end setup, so to speak, that I can like do a sick stream. I have a good enough PC so I am able to decently stream. You know, the bigger problem for me was the internet. The upload is shit everywhere in Serbia. Even though I have like 100 down, I only have 4 or 5 up or something like that. What North was thinking keeping Cobble? Well, it's a very strong map for them as well, you know. It's the same. Okay, voice should be good now. So yeah, let's try again. Okay, the FPS is not dropping as much as far as I can see on the stream, but you never know. So okay, early on, good control from Gambit. So now I'm gonna move a little bit to, you know, some of the rounds that I think were pretty crucial. So you can see Gambit, after losing that pistol, they get the plant, they win the round, and North forces yet again, which is something they don't do that often. They lose that round, then they have to eco, and this is where Gambit is like taking control of the game slowly. So another gun round win, another eco. They were mostly going towards B, if I remember correctly. Is this the round? Or I think it's actually the next round that I want to show. Looks better. How is Belgrade these days? Pretty cold. Okay. Success. So I think this is actually a default round, so let's show this one, you know. So you can see how they play. They spread around early on, go towards B plat, so that they get a feeling of what's going on. Pretty much how the CTs are set up at this point. They're waiting for a maybe aggressive push. I just need to unbind space and then yes. Oh, I didn't. Oh, this bind still work. Nice. So you can see, right? They're spread around, waiting for a push. The CTs are in a pretty standard 3-2 setup at this point. So, you know, they have the op on Cajun, who is a bit more aggressive towards B plat, which is a strong position for an opper, right? You have like that long range, pretty much, and you want to try and get a pick with him, but he's forced back. So this is where it gets tricky, when you like lose that control of platform, but you don't really have control of drop either. You know, it's very hard when you lose control of both. The players inside don't really have many places to hide. It's easy to get pinched in that position. So that's why you see Rubino and Config trying to like double peek drop to, you know, get a kill, get some info. They know that they're in a like unfavorable position right now if Gambit goes B. I see Hobbit in drop now. They have good info. They know like no one's drop, no one's close B plat. They know that Cajun has to be in sight or chicken coop as well. You know, and he, you can see the problem. Like he's always going left and right, left and right. He's not sure from which side the T's are gonna come, and he just gets pinched. So that's like great play. That's what Navi was very good at. You know, get like map control, get information about what setup the CTs are using, and then just execute to counter them. Pretty much. So yeah, that was like that's mostly how Gambit has been playing up until this point, right? They would do the same thing towards A. Now this is the round that if you guys watched the game and you saw a lot of people tweet about this round, it was like a great read from Zeus and Gambit. You will see that they are just gonna walk out towards mid, pretty much. You know, Zeus is throwing stuff towards A long, and the rest of his team is just going to walk mid after this smoke. And the reason, like, one of the things here is you can see that North changed their setup, right? They decided to buy yet again because they saved a couple of guns, so they have 2 UMPs. Not an optimal buy, obviously. No AWP on Cajun, and they've been losing so many rounds to this methodical playstyle. And since Cobble as a map, you don't really have that many options to, you know, be aggressive early on in the round if you're CT, especially if you don't have an op. Usually, you would like try to get a early pick on mid or maybe long, or boost up towards drop, you know. But those are all difficult things to execute. We see teams starting to try and take control of B platform, throwing a smoke here, 2 Molotovs and all that stuff, but they don't go for that either. But what you can go for as well is just going for a gamble stack, and they decide to stack 4 players towards B, trying to get a read on what Gambit is going to do. Only Magic is alone on A long, and you will see, like, right after this smoke, pretty much how Gambit is just going to decide to push mid, like walk out mid. You can see they even throw a smoke here, you know, to maybe draw some attention towards A long, if there were a second player on A, so he could focus more on long and not on mid. And they're just walking straight up. And now this is, like, in itself very strong, but it gets even better because they don't stop walking at all. You know, teams, once they get to, for example, this point, they would just run into the site or something. You can see how they're still walking all the time. Like, until they get contact, they're going to walk, and they just basically plant the bomb. You can see how both Adren and Dosha are towards A long, you know, waiting for a flank. They probably expect at least one player to be there. You know, maybe they were thinking they're ecoing or whatever, so they just went for a 5 people B stack. But yeah, so that's like a great, you know, adjustment from Gambit to basically group up earlier on in the round and just walk up mid as a unit. So, you know, a very difficult situation for North right now. They're forced to save yet again, which if you listen to Sponge's stream yesterday, it's the most depressing word that the in-game leader can say during a game. Save. Let's save. So this is like looking super good for Gambit, but you know, if North wins like 3 more rounds, if they get 5 rounds coming into the second half, they're a team that's capable of winning a lot of rounds on the T side themselves. So now they get the op on Cajun, pretty much. And now they realize, okay, we have to try and go for some sort of an aggressive move, pretty much. And he goes towards Monster and gets the kill on Dosha. Gets tagged pretty heavily, but I mean, they got what they wanted, pretty much. So you can see now they can switch things up. They can set Cajun back towards B if they want. He is sticking mid for the time being. And that's the thing, when you're playing a default setup, when you spread around on the T side, if you just lose a single player, things get a lot more difficult for you, even on a map like Cobble, because, you know, usually you just have a single player holding a certain area of the map, and when you lose that one player, then you need to spread out even more, which leaves room for the CTs to get a good read, to be more aggressive, right, to find a gap in your offense, pretty much. And I mean, simply, it's more difficult to execute splits, right, especially if you want to come like from 3 different angles, because when you would, in a position where you would have 2 players, you know, if one dies, the other gets the trade. In this situation, if that player dies, there's no one there to trade. And you know, Rubino, like, challenging in drop, they have 2 players there, he gets pre-tagged. So 30 seconds left, Magic is hearing Hobbit coming back, so they should have a good idea that it's going to be A at this point, but no one is rotating still. Magic realizes he has to try and do something. And Cajun dies as well, so even though they had an advantage, this is still winnable for Gambit, but they don't really have the time at this point, and Mo couldn't find a pick. So yeah, a pretty intense round, it feels like. But North do get the all-important round. And you can see they have double op as well, which is weird for North, who were like struggling for so long to even have a single opper on their team, and now they're gonna play with two ops. Config towards B, I guess, and Cajun towards A, pretty much. So Gambit takes a timeout. This is also very smart. Because sure, they still have a big lead, but they do realize that the money is still low on North, and if they win this round, they will probably end the half with at least 11 rounds, because they force North to eco or just go with pistols and armor. So yeah, they want to talk things through and see what's the best call that they can make, and so that they can win this round. Mixwell losing 3 match points. Yeah, I remember those rounds. I mean, it's always tough. Those are like extremely high pressure situations, you know. Sometimes there was a number of times where Mixwell fully delivered for his team. Unfortunately, he was a bit off towards the end of that game, and you know, that's the difference. That's why I predicted, like, that's probably the best example why I predicted VP to win, because VP has that calmness, right? They've been in situations like that time and time before, while the Optic players simply haven't, you know. Maybe the pressure got to them a little bit in those situations. So you can see again, Gambit slowing things down, almost grinding to a halt, but again, Cajun gets a kill from this, and again on Dosha. And the thing here is, as soon as Dosha dies here, he throws the smoke. It's pretty obvious that he was alone there and trying to draw attention, so that forces the hand of Gambit. Okay, we lost all map control, let's just go B before they rotate more players there. And which is a good call, but you can't really, when you are forced, when you jump the gun a little bit, at that point you're not as crisp in like the flashes and everything, so it's easier for the CTs to defend in a sense. And they all have, and they're all coming from B platforms, so I mean, two players are focused on that choke point and can't really, not as easy to, yeah. And this is where like Cajun kills MSL as well, which is like, tells you that, you know, North is feeling the pressure a little bit as well, a bit quick on the trigger finger. Walking up mid, yeah, it happened. I just saw it on stream. No, I'll make my predictions for today after I like finish the games. Probably like half an hour or so before the, or an hour before the ELEAGUE stream starts. So yeah, I'm gonna show this round as well, because this is where North is like clawing their way back into the game, you know. And again, they even have a 3-man stack towards A at this point. You can see that even though they had a strong round, they have a double up, they still feel pressured to try and make these reads in these executes. And here it's basically just config from this position, decimating them with the AWP. So that was the change that really did a lot for for North in the later part of this half. And it's also weird that since they just died to him with the op in the previous round, they don't go for a full-on execute with smokes and a Molotov for chicken calls, right? Or at least a smoke, because that's a very tough position to deal with if you don't throw utility. So this is where North forced Gambit to eco, and now they're like, they got their way back into the game pretty much. So I'm just gonna fast forward it a little bit to the second half, where I think Gambit basically won the game. And Gambit wins the second pistol as well, so on top of all the things that are happening, yeah, I'll upload it to YouTube. They still lose both pistols, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, oh, actually, right. I want to show you guys the second pistol, because I think it shows that North were not really choking, but they were like, you know, really, I think it really showed that they were playing scared a little bit, you know, playing not to lose instead of playing to win, pretty much. Oh man, trying to rewind demos in this game is very difficult. I shouldn't do this round by round, should probably like pick a point, try to find where the halftime was. Because I think every time I want to go back around, it's like it reloads the demo from the beginning, which is ridiculous. But yeah. Let's try it like this. Yeah, I think this will be faster. Which map would you replace Inferno with? I'm not really sure. Cobble maybe? I think it needs more work. Oh yeah, this is way faster. This is how we're gonna do it from now on. So alright, second pistol round, obviously super important. 6 rounds for North with the pistol, they're like basically right back into this game. With Gambit, they are in a very good spot to win it. So this is like the execute. They come in and look at this. Like this is where I think you will see that they're playing scared. Now you look at Config has 20 HP, Magic has 35 HP, Cajun has no armor, 100 HP and a smoke. So the health advantage is on Gambit's side. But the thing is, they have control of the site. They have a smoke. They can, you know, have Cajun smoke the cross, like here, and try to plant the bomb, and Config can stay somewhere close to cover him so the bomb gets down and Magic can just then lurk or something. But they're playing so scared at this point. Like Config is waiting for a flank, he's like low HP, Cajun is gonna try and plant the bomb, but because of this flash, he stops because he's afraid that, you know, they're flashing someone in and that they're gonna kill him because he has no cover, pretty much. And at that point, Magic then tries to do something, which is like bad timing. Config is back in drop. I'm not sure they heard him. So Cajun is getting flanked by Zeus. And Config is just now left in a 1v2 with low HP in basically an unwinnable position. He doesn't have a bomb as well. I feel like if this was another tournament, there's no way they played that scared. You know, they're gonna plant that bomb, Config is gonna cover Cajun, then they're gonna peek together, try get a kill, or at least draw attention to themselves, and then Magic goes out and makes a play. Sure, they might still lose the round either way, but at least you lost the round on your own terms. This was just them, you know, being scared. Cajun wants to plant, but then he can't plant, and they just get ran down by a Gambit pretty much. So it's not the fact that they lost the round, it's the manner in which they lost it that was pretty bad in my eyes. So even with all of that, they do win the first gun round, and they were getting a lot of kills on Gambit's players, actually just in the second round. But they still they were able to put enough pressure on the economy that Gambit goes for a buy, but it's not optimal. I mean, they have the op on Mo, but they have like 2 Mag 7s, a UMP and an M4 without too much utility. So with North winning this round, they would force Gambit to eco, they would have full control of the economy. So this is a huge round. And you can see how Mo straight on goes for a play, hoping they won't expecting to have an op. And you can see how immediately North reacts by going towards A for 2 reasons. One, they lost a player who was supposed to get map control for them here and just buy time and get some info. 2, because they know that if Gambit buys, it's gonna be a weak buy. So them seeing Mo on A long, that means that the guys that are on B long, that means that the guys towards A probably don't have you know, as good, as strong weapons or utility and all of that. So it's just like, let's get the hell away from that top, try to go straight up mid. I think that's gonna be a good chance for us to win the round. But what happens? You see Adren trying to buy time with a smoke. He just jumps down and basically, I mean, he just gets 2 good kills with the mag 7. And now they're in a like terrible position because even Cajun like is stuck. Zeus was all the time towards A long. I mean, they don't know where Config is, but he's in a 1v5 pretty much. That's unwinnable if you're not playing against Envious. So yeah, you can see how good aggressive play early on for Gambit. That's the thing, they don't care. They realize the situation in which they're in. Let's try and make a play with the op. Great, we get the kill. We force the hand from the North guys. And then Adren just gets a good rotation, gets there in time, close range with the shotgun, gets 2 good kills. And that resets North. And, you know, they're forced to eco. Gambit is going to have 14 rounds. So, yeah. I'm going to move to the last round of the game. Because that was, I think, another example of just North not really playing like themselves, you know, to an extent. Which is rather unfortunate for this team. They're very skilled. They have great understanding of the game. They play well like a team. I would hate seeing them drop out of this tournament because they didn't play their normal game, right? Because they, I don't know, choked or just were feeling a bit too pressured, you know, to perform. So yeah, you can see they have only like pistols, they have 3 smokes. So in general, it's not like an optimal buy for them, it's far from it. But still they're setting up for some sort of an execute towards A, as you can see, slowly creeping towards A long. And they only have Rubino, who's gonna, you know, fake a little bit towards drop, maybe pull like some player, and Adren is rotating. So now, I mean, the Molotov is there, MSL goes through, the rest of the team stays behind. They go all the way back from mid, where it's like, you know, they're taking so long to get into the site. Look at this, this is like so slow. And even that isn't forcing too big of a rotation from the CTs yet. You know, they still only have 2 players close to the site, but with such a weak buy, you feel like you really need to commit. Once you go, you go. After that, you won't have any utility left to smoke off the choke points and all of that stuff. So I think it really showed the state of mind from the Danish guys in this game. You know, and you look at the scoreboard as well. Zeus top frag, I mean, it was a team effort from Gambit. Really just outplayed North straight up. So right, let's jump in straight into the second game, since we lost a bit of time with me setting up, trying to figure out how streaming works. But yeah, still not too bad, not too bad. Okay, so again, I'm gonna move on to rounds. Alright, so this is like the shocks round. Let's watch this round. Even though I didn't want to show it, it's a cool little round. And I'll try to explain what I meant on... What? Yeah, there we go. On Twitter as well. Oh. So yeah, just a straight on A push from G2. In a 2v2 situation, they don't know where Scream is, they obviously know where Shox is. So Scream dies, they know Shox is on A, that he was all the way back in Squeaky, they can just go B. I mean, Twist is a bit careful if Shox is still somewhere aggressive. Olaf decides not to like try any shenanigans by himself, just goes there. It just goes back to B to cover Twist. And here you can see Shocks will get great timing. You see, he just like misses all off there. He walks in, misses twist as well, gets into headshot, and I feel that's where like for some reason Olaf feels pressured to like, I think they wanted to double peek Shocks, but it didn't really work out for them. You can just see the composure from Shocks, even when he drops here, he doesn't like spray, you know, just start tapping with the pistol. He just still remains composed. And you could argue that Olaf, with the USP and armor, should have probably just stayed here, you know, played the bomb. Instead, they wanted to double peek him, you know, make sure they get the kill. But they missed the timing, missed the angles a little bit, and Shocks was able to win the round here. Never really should have won. So yeah, straight after that, Fnatic wants to goes for the Force. I think this is where Olaf gets like has a sick round as well. So let's watch that. And you know the way this game starts, Shocks 4 kills, 1v2, Olaf, 6-second round. You feel like yeah, we're getting it, boys. It's like Shocks versus Olaf, high-powered play. Yeah, this is just like, this is so dirty. But honestly, this was a mistake from the CTs. I mean, sure, you wanna walk all the way you can, pretty much, but the first player that's coming here, he needs to like peek wide, right? He needs to like just run and you know, shoot while you're running, because if you don't do that, this can happen. You just all walk into the same line and he just sprays you down. If you run, he needs to like adjust his crosshair to move to you, and then it's an easy trade for your teammates. So, I mean, just because of that, basically G2 lose the all-important second round. And this is where like Shocks will try to get the M4, he doesn't pick it up, so they even lose that. So now we go back to the Force. This is where, I mean, Shocks has just enough money for an op, so this is where they're thinking, okay, let's just buy the op, Force back up, they're not gonna expect it, and we can try and bring it back straight in the beginning. So again, you look at this and you see them having a lot of utility, and you feel like they really shouldn't be losing this round. You know, I feel like 9 times out of 10, you can just go A, use all your Molotovs, and that's it. They have Twist out mid. He's got all mid control. So that this can still mean that there's a stack from the CT somewhere, you know. They are creeping towards A. Twist breaks the bands. He wants to, you know, make them think it's B, but they actually have like a stack towards A. So this is the problem. Here, you should probably just let Twist run B by himself. He only has a UMP, the rest of the players have AKs. And, you know, once he makes contact or anything, that's when you can go towards A. This way, you still don't know if it's a stack. And he's like all the way up inside vents, pretty much. You know, but this is where the execute comes in. The molly as well, which is not all that good. And you can see RPK first gets the kill on Twist. Just keeps moving with the 5-7, and they all just like that. That's so weird, because you have Disco Dopplan getting all the way towards quad while the rest of his team is stuck in A main. They really had to, you know, move faster as a team and make better use of their utility. So yeah, that was a RPK got a bunch of kills, but you feel like even if he gets a kill less or something, they still win the round. Why don't you stream during the major and the major games? I don't know, I'll think about it. I'm not sure what people would like to see more, me doing like short analysis of this, like this, or just like doing the games live. I'll think about it still. So yeah, obviously that was a super important round. So now I'm gonna move to another round. I mean, in general, what's been going on here, guys, is that let me see if I have a round for that. I don't, so I'll just pick a random. CT round, random gun round actually, because what happened here is that G2 was playing super passive on their CT side. Like they have Scream here, they almost never go like aggressive in this area of mid. So they were playing like 2B, 2A, and one guy mid, and Scream at time was basically just even, you know, watching. Okay, this is where they actually go aggressive towards B. So yeah, this is like how they change stuff up, but generally speaking, they were playing like super passive. I think that even now they're gonna go back to that setup. This is probably a bad round to give an example, but in general, you even have Scream like standing here and watching that someone doesn't come through Z. And I feel that's not like, that's one of the setups you can use on Cash, it's fine, but why have Scream there? You know, plays so passive. One, it's a different thing if he's playing like this, you know, actively like searching for duels on his own terms. But even in that case, if the T's want to go mid, they're probably going to send more players and you're just going to get overwhelmed pretty much, you know. So yeah, they were mostly going for that passive play style. And they did start to get punished for it, right? You just give too much control to the T's. And maybe they were gambling on the fact that Fnatic isn't really going to be able to come up with a good execute, even with mid control. But that simply wasn't the case. Fnatic was like taking full advantage of it, and wow, that was a sick shot from Crims. And Crims was playing really well throughout this game. So yeah, I'm gonna move to another round that was super important. And again, the main culprit is none other than RPK. So right, let's show this round first. So you can see, I think this is one of the rounds that they actually lost because they played super passive. Or I'm wrong again. I think they're gonna rotate back to having two players on B though. Or not. Alright. I think this is where they actually adjust to giving that much map control and then play a bit more aggressive towards mid. But yeah. So now they get that kill. Seems like Fnatic just wants to go away, and they have like Dennis creeping out of A main. They're not aware of his position, and he like does a lot of work here. Basically gets these two huge kills. They still have body, but you know, this is where Smits will end up in a 1v1, and for some reason he doesn't use his molly for quad. Now watch this, like, it's fine not pulling out utility in a 1v2, but I mean, at this point he gets the tag, that's a sick flick, he gets flashed, so right now he's not 100% sure where Twist is, but now he knows, he hears the gun, Twist throws the flash, so now he knows as well, and at this point, why not use your incendiary for this side and then just wait for him to peek on the other side? You know, you can hide behind this box that he's standing at, that way you can't like get peeked while you're throwing the nade. And I feel like, you know, that would have been like the most optimal play, but he decides against it. I mean, doesn't have that much time, maybe he felt he doesn't have time to do all that nade stuff, and Twist wins the 1v1, which forces the G2 players to eco yet again, but we'll see what happens, Mr. RPK. This is alright, again, they're like spread out around the map pretty much. Just waiting for an aggressive move from the CTs, which happens towards door. They got the kill on Crims, and now they're just grouping up towards B. You can see he tags all off a lot. Nice tap. Just staying here, like, look at this. 2 headshots on Dennis, and then Smith gets another kill. And you wonder, like, okay, they only have pistols. Why not use more utility? Why not, even if you lose a player towards door, you know, why do you feel so rushed to move? Okay, you want to go B, you want to do it fast, that's fine, but throw some utility. And they just got wrecked by RPK with the USP. If you have Olaf peeking from here, you should also have players coming in through B main. Because there was no one to trade, RPK could just focus on one guy, then focus on the next guy, just calmly tapping away. So yeah, those two pistol, I mean, that the second one was a force buy, this one was just a straight on eco, the G2 won, and that really helped them not to, you know, have a terrible first half. So what do we have in the second? I'm gonna fast forward it now a little bit. So G2 wins second pistol, they convert after that. But, you know, we know that Fnatic is a strong team on the CT side. They can bring this back. So this is one of the more important rounds, I feel like. So open Olofmeister, no armor. It's not an optimal buy for Fnatic. You can see that they only have like a couple of smokes, just one incendiary on Disco Doppland. He doesn't even have a smoke. So Olof is probably gonna try and make a play early on. You can see that G2 is going towards B initially, but you know, this is pretty obvious that they're gonna try and do a B fake with the bomb going towards Squeaky early on. So let's see how it plays out. They do the standard, you know, smoke B main, molly, checkers, chase a player away, and Fnatic is making a great adjustment, going for that boost, pretty much. You know, let's just try and boost up. We heard player. I think he probably even heard body. I'm not all that sure. So they throw the stuff towards B, but Olaf is playing close checkers, so he knows that it's just a fake. He's giving the call to his teammates. Shit, I'm probably gonna have to rewind this a little bit because it's important to show how Dennis died. I think this should be fine. Do you think Fnatic would profit for swapping back to Flush and JW? I'm not really sure. Like those two teams have been shuffling so much. Their confidence must have dropped a lot. I think regardless of whether they make the change or not, they need to evolve as a team with their playing style. They, like, neither of those teams can just rely on raw aim and raw individual plays. So right, you can see Crims. Dennis is actually inside of A main early on. Now they throw the stuff towards B. Crims is moving a little bit because of it, although there's no reason for it. And Dennis is just caught in, you know, in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. Twist doesn't get the kill on Scream either, even though he had the positioning advantage. So this is where you feel like that really there was no need for Fnatic to, you know, move to make those rotations. Maybe they felt because Dennis didn't see anyone in A main that it was a double fake or something like that. So he was just caught. No one was there to help him. They lose control of site. Twist isn't able to kill the guys coming back from B, and the round just falls apart from them. You know, it's a bit unfortunate. Maybe the communication wasn't on point either. And a similar thing happens to them towards the very end of the game, pretty much. As you can see, G2 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds in a row they're able to win. And you know, the one round that Fnatic won, obviously they got reset straight after it. So not a favorable situation for them by any means. And you can see most of the rounds were pretty comfortable for G2. They just go straight up for mid control, and they get it. While Fnatic is just spread around the map. This is where like Olaf doesn't expect RPK to jump on that box at all. So a man advantage for G2 as well, looking pretty bad for Fnatic at this point. And now they're just waiting around for someone to be aggressive from Fnatic to try and even things out. So they're just playing safe. They don't want to give that advantage back to Fnatic. But Twist gets a kill on RPK. So a 4v4 at this point. Still favors the T's. They have mid control. I'm not actually sure. They shouldn't be allowed to, but you don't know. So this is where they get into checkers. They're going towards B. This is actually not the round that I wanted to show. Damn. There was a round, well, now I have no idea which round it is, because I thought it was this one. There was a round also at some point. Wait, maybe I can find it like this. This was the 12-10 round. So this was 15-10, 14-10, 13-10, maybe 13-10. Let me just try real quick. Because there was a round where it was a 3v3 situation. And Twist was actually pushing B, and he was getting good info, but while he was pushing B, G2 was actually coming out mid and going B through vents. So what happened essentially, I'm gonna draw it on the map, just waiting for the demo to load up. I mean, Twist unfortunately outflanked himself, pretty much. Yeah, it wasn't this round, but I'll just gonna draw it. So it was a 3v3, and Twist starts pushing towards B, but all in the meanwhile, G2 is just coming out mid, going through vents and going B. So they had like 3 players inside the site, while, you know, 2 players were like, you know, Fnatic was like this. This is where their players were. And G2 plants the bomb, and sure, like Twist is coming on the flank, but they're probably waiting for someone because no one was inside the site. So they got a good idea that someone pushed up, they cleared it, but because we all came through vents, they're really not going to, you know, we just outflanked them, basically. So those were like 2 gun rounds where Fnatic was, you know, a bit unfortunate. One the 3v3 and the other one was the fake round from G2. So, you know, all things considered, this could have been an even closer game, but G2 just outplayed them in critical moments, and Fnatic messed up against Pistols in that first half. You feel like if they didn't make those small mistakes, they might have won the game. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this game in general. So let's just keep going. Next up is going to be SK, and then after that it's gonna be VP. I'm gonna do SK first because it's Mirage, you know, and then we get 3 different maps for the first 3 games, and we can go back to Cobble on VP Optic afterwards. So what do we have here? All right. I think SK, like, I'm just gonna show the smoke they throw, because they do a bit of a variation to the, you know, regular pistol round. You can see that they throw actually the deep connector smoke instead of like the one that falls here. And they want to push towards connector, which is great. But Angel just, you saw how it looked like. He just like takes a peek and gets 2 really fast kills, and basically stops the push in itself. It's still a close round. Taco does get a couple of good kills, but they still lose the round. Alright. So yeah, I'm gonna fast forward it now. The issue here is that SK does win the second round. You can see how they exchange guns, so that Angel, who's playing Cat, I think, and he's gonna take a lot of duels so that he has a better gun for that. But yeah, SK decides to buy up. Taco has a smoke and a Molotov. That's all of their utility, pretty much. And Dead Fox is like mid by himself. That's why he's playing more passive. He sees Fur, and Fur is just buying time. Actually gets the kill. Buying time for his team to come up connector. And now it's just basically a mess. And also they lose all control. Two of the players are tagged as well. You feel like that's not an optimal setup. Why would you also want to play Shadow in case they force? You play close range against pistols. So still they managed to bring it back to a 3v2. Fallen on the flank, but Taco is like doing a great job of just buying time. Has a molly. Oh yeah, and this is like going to be Angel on the defuse with most HP. You can see how the molly is gonna spread. He dies. They have no kit. At this point they probably don't even have the time. And they just get torn apart by both Fallen and Taco. So Taco, with starting off great in the first two games. I'll do day 2 predictions towards the end of the stream. So yeah, that was of course unfortunate for Hellraisers, but let's speed it up to a gun round. So you can see what the issue was for Hellraisers. You would expect them like, being prepared for this tournament, right? And for SK, and maybe figuring if we're gonna play Mirage. You need to be prepared for how are you going to approach mid, obviously. Mid is like the most important part of this map. Having mid control is crucial. Why? Because if as CT you give away mid control, right, and you don't react by pushing ramp or getting map info somewhere else, and you don't have an advantage by that point, you lose connector control. So the Ts can come in through like these 3 ways, and even if they want, they can boost someone into CPL. So if you need to worry about all these areas, that really limits the positions in which the CTs can play, right? Maybe you would like to play Firebox here, but then you can get shot from connector. Maybe you'd like just to, play this box and focus on these 2 areas, but then you need to worry about apps. Or maybe hide somewhere, but then you need to, or shadow, but then you can get shot when they push from here. It's a lot more difficult to play from inside the site if you need to worry about these 3 angles. And it's not just that. Obviously it's not as difficult for the Ts to win the round, but you also have no idea what's going on. So maybe you're gonna fall back, but then the Ts are going to do something else, like go towards the other side of the map, or they can fake you out, because you, without information, you really have to rotate, right? You can't really stay still. So that's why mid is super important, generally speaking, and that's why the Ts spend a lot of resources getting that control early on. And you can see how they're pretty much approaching this as, they want to play 2 players in the site. That Fox watches mid. That was not the greatest run boost. He still gets tagged somehow, which is funny. So yeah, you can see now he's forced to move away. They're basically just relying on him. They have this bait setup on B pretty much, where Angel is gonna jump, and you know they're gonna think, okay, he's the B player, and then if they come, Zero gets is in a good position to get a couple of kills. But he's not in a position to help mid. You know, he's nowhere near Cat, so it's all down to that Fox, which is extremely difficult. Now the smoke is there, so they can boost into that smoke. He needs to worry about that as well. That Fox from this position needs to worry about getting shot from apps, from connector, and from CPL. That's like an insane amount of work he needs to do. And they smoke connector themselves, but they don't throw the deep smoke here where that Fox is. They actually throw it in the middle, and that's gonna bait him a little bit to look over the smoke, and that allows for to, you know, sneak through if he wants. That's something he's very good at. So you can see what happens with X-Ray. They actually flash right in there, and he's managed to sneak through and gets a free kill, and that's all their mid control gone. And they actually react well by pushing towards ramp. They realize, okay, we lost mid, we need to do something, otherwise we're gonna get wrecked. And you can see SK is coming connector, and Fox is actually with the bomb by himself, which is probably want to send an extra player with him. But now they're pushing, now they know where the bomb is. You can see Fox playing smart, waiting for his teammates to get into the site so he gets support. Even if there's an extra player ramp, that someone can, you know, that his team still has time to kill that guy, get the bomb, and win the round. So he's, you know, playing pretty smart at this point, slowly creeping in. Does speed up a little bit, but yeah. Bondi gets 2 good kills, isn't able to run away, which still leaves a good amount of time for SK to plant the bomb. They just need to remain calm in this situation, pretty much. And they do get the kill, Fur gets the flank. And I showed you this round because this was a recurring theme for Hellraisers. They gave up a lot of mid control early on. So now, what happens after this? Next gun round. What does SK go for? Oops. What will SK go for? They speed things up. They throw a fast smoke top mid. They're throwing flashes and everything. They have players up towards the B site, and they're basically just going for a fast B push. And even though, you know, it's an okay hold from the CTs. I mean, 2v2 is okay, but depends. Like, they didn't buy that much time. So you look now, the T's have great position. The bomb is planted for Cat, so that's for Cold. Over here, they have fallen in a strong position in B, watching like the cross, and Fox is here, watching people jump out of windows. So Fallen gets the kill, gets tagged, but you know, now they know that no one else is probably gonna come from lower. Fox gets another kill, and that's pretty much it. That Fox is forced to save. And why is this important? It's not just the fact that SK won the round, it's the fact that they won the round by playing fast. They did the same stuff, throw the smoke, throw the molly, blah blah blah. So in the beginning, Hellraisers are maybe thinking that it's the same old default, and then they just explode towards B. They win the round by doing that, and now Hellraisers are in a position where, okay, like if they know that they're gonna play default, is when you know, maybe they can come up with something to counter that. They can maybe push mid, play a bit more aggressive, play aggressive with an op towards B, do something. But this way, SK is changing the pace, they're switching things up, and you can't really predict what are they going to do next. Are they going to go back to the default? Are they going to run a B split? Are they going to, you know, explode towards A? So it makes it very difficult to read SK at this point in time. So yeah, and you will see that happen. I mean, something similar. I think they're gonna eco here. Yeah, they just half by. And you know, they do bring Stico like a bit more towards connector now. But what is SK doing now? They're like doing a straight up A fake where they're just throwing like the smokes early on, and they want to draw the attention. Like this is the point of this strat, is to force, like if there's a player in CPL, one here, I mean around here, and one in connector. These are like the most usual setups for the CTs. They want to force this guy to move through the smoke and help the site, or even both players if possible, and that allows the rest of the team to sneak up towards connector and basically backstab them. So that's the whole point of this execute. You will see Stiko will, you know, throw the smoke himself to try and counter exactly that. But again, they just walk through the smoke. They don't care. And I mean, he gets the kill, gets shot in the back, and you can see now what I was talking about. Like, Bonic is here, but he's in a terrible spot. Dead Fox needs to do a lot of heavy lifting for him to be useful from this position. He basically just gets sprayed down by Taco. Fur is already close connector, gets the kill on Angel, and Dead Fox is smoked off. I mean, he won't be able to do anything from this position, pretty much. Seems like he saw the foot of Coldzera, but that's about it. You know, very good play from SK, taking advantage, being one step ahead, realizing what adjustments Hellraisers are going to make, and then just, you know, beating them to the punch, pretty much, with what they're doing on the map. I think the first round Hellraisers win after this is actually going to be, you know, a straight on mid push and getting good trades there. And at this point, you know, the game is, you don't want to say over, but because the game will end at something like, the first half will end with like, SK gets 11 rounds, 12. You know, then after Hellraisers win the round, they get reset. And yeah, it's like 11-4 in the end. And you feel like there's no way that Hellraisers can win 12 rounds on the T side against SK. They do manage to bring it back early on. They win the pistol, win the first gun round and all that jazz. But yeah, it wasn't enough. And here you can see why. This is like a good example also of why I believe that SK is going to be a very dangerous team into this tournament, despite the fact that they're playing with a stand-in with Fox, because they just have such a good understanding of the game. I mean, they know how to play the game, they have good individuals, and you know, they're just beating teams based on experience and outplaying them. In a game like this, you don't really need Fox to do anything fancy. You know, you are outplaying your opponents as a team. You're not outplaying them individually, in a sense that you need Fox to make like big plays in order for SK to win a game. It's like not that case at all. Like, this was a very, very straightforward game for SK. And Hellraisers are not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. They've improved tremendously over the past few months. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this game. Let's go over to VP versus Optic. Alright, so starting with the pistol round. Oh yeah, this is where Naf just beasted on them, pretty much. Yeah, Snacks gets the opening kill, and Snacks is like a beast on Cobblestone. I mean, he's a beast in general, but on Cobblestone as well. Balkan CSGO. What Balkan CSGO? You and Stanislav look like twin brothers. I am Stanislav. So after that early pick, Optic goes back to B. They do have 1 smoke and 2 flashes, so Pasha being aggressive here, has the range advantage with the USP, tags Rush. Snax gets another kill, so this is a 5v3 at this point with Rush on 19 HP. This is a round that VP should basically never lose. But you can see Naf already gets like a good tag on Taz. They get the kill on him. You know, Neo is creeping around that smoke. He goes for it, gets a 1-for-1 trade. I'm not sure why Snax is waiting for them to push. So they decide to go back towards B. Pasha gets another kill. And now it's Naf in a 1v3 basically, with Pasha being very low. Maybe, yeah, not much Pasha could do. He wouldn't really run away, so... And this is where you're thinking, okay, like 1v2, Snax and Bialy, they have a kit, they have, you know, armor, everything. They gotta win this round. But Naf just makes a sick play. And that's the thing with pistol rounds. They're always a bit random, because if Naf doesn't hit, you know, those 6 shots in the end, if instead Bialy just gets the 1 tap, it's a whole different story. So yeah, great play from him to win the 1v3. Can't really blame VP all that much. Just great round from Naf. Did I watch the major yesterday? Yeah, I watched most of the games. I didn't watch FaZe Flipside and Astralis Godsend. I watched it a little bit. I was pretty tired last night. So yeah, that was a round from Optic, and they were doing a pretty good job early on in the game. VP known as a team that's going to have slow starts. You hear them, what the hell? Okay, but yeah, this is fine. So I mean, they win the first gun round. That was the crazy Snax 1 tap pretty much. They get reset straight after that. They you know, keep saving those guns, but they're just getting picked apart basically by the methodical play from Optic and getting into those executes. So now I'm gonna show you a cool way to adjust, and something that North had issues doing in their game against Gambit on their city side. So you will see how VP tries to adjust to Optic, basically getting a lot of control towards B long and exploiting that later on. So I think it's better if I show it like this. So yeah. Once more, they're spread out. They have snacks towards A long with the op, and they're focused a bit more towards B. And you can see how they're creeping up. They want to try and take control of A long, B long, sorry, B platform. So they throw the deep smoke that's going to cover off this angle, right? So that the T's can't have this crossfire going for them. And now they're gonna throw their Molotovs and nades. So I'm gonna show you maybe from this perspective. So you can see now the players, there's a lot of times a player is hiding here and players hide here or boost up, just exactly what Optic is doing right now. So they throw the Molotovs here to flush them out, but look how they're going to throw the nades like in this direction. Just watch it. One nade with the flash as well. Okay, so they just throw the one nade, it seems, or I mean they both had it, so probably just missed it. And it's a great way because when you molly here near like these boxes, so they usually the player has a smoke, so you're not gonna like just, you know, he's not gonna stand there and die, but he pulls it out. By the time he pulls it out, he takes some damage at least before he extinguishes it, and with a good nade it might just be enough to get the kill on him. So you can see how they throw a smoke, 2 mollies, they throw the nades, and they get a man advantage. I think that was that's a very cool thing. It's one of the few things that the CTs can do mid-round in terms of aggression and try to get some advantage going their way. Oh yeah, this is like the weird round where they don't really peek nav. It ends up being a 1v1, right? And they have the bomb as well. But, you know, you feel like Neo should try and challenge at some point. He just, you know, takes the head off of Bialy. And now it's a 1v1. But he doesn't have time. I think that was like the only reason, you know, why Neo didn't try to do anything. He was just like, I'm just gonna buy time. As long as he's spamming me, he's not going towards the bomb. So by the time I die, he's not gonna have the time to win the round anyway. So right. I mean, this was a close game in general. Obviously, 2 very good teams. Both teams very strong on Cobble as well. So I'm gonna fast forward towards the end of the game where you know, the game really was decided. Because we had like good rounds from both teams. And yeah, this is like the way I'm gonna try and do the games today, so that we get to cover more games perhaps, instead of me just going through every basically every gun round in the game. Alright. So you can see VP managed to win a lot of rounds in a row, basically. And now they were setting up for like a B hit. Optic has 4 players there pretty much. They just have Neo waiting for a flank. And now you're gonna see them like carpet bomb the site. I mean, Tarek with the op can do a lot of work. He's not being, you know, taken away by utility. You can see how the players are moving. You can see how Rush feels like they want to all focus on B plat. And that gives like the players from drop an opening to make a play. Neo is on the lurk. He's going to try and, you know, get players who are running this way towards connector, try to backstab them, and just be on a very, very long lurk. The problem here is, you know, this is very hard to pull off in a sense that, okay, so this is actually a pretty cool round to explain a couple of things. Because of the way the smokes fall here, Optic realizes that they can all push through the smokes and just focus on B platform. If the players are coming from drop, because they're on the other side of the smokes, they can't really get shot in the back from those players, right? So they just make a call, okay guys, let's all focus on plat. After we take care of that, if they have players coming from drop, let's just, you know, turn and then we can deal with them, basically, which is pretty cool. Another problem is, once those players from platform, you know, get eliminated, there's nothing like the drop guys can do. And it's very hard to nail that timing perfectly, because what you want to do basically is draw attention to the guys from plat. That's when the drop guys come out and, you know, get a kill. Then someone has to turn, and that's when, you know, the platform guys finish things out. In theory, it doesn't really have to be 100% like that, but basically you want to split the attention from the CTs and always, you know, be in a position where maybe you can kill them in the back. On top of that, Neo dies on the flank. So this was just a very, very cool play from Optic. You can see how they were all on the same page in regards to how are they going to defend that execute. The one big problem with this is, if you get a read that Optic reacts like this whenever you throw these smokes, what's the perfect counter to that? Throw the smokes and just do an A split, like however, like this long or whatever, because these players are gonna be so far back on the rotate, and the players who are playing A are gonna have to like cover too many angles to do it properly. So, but it's hard making that read, and not too many teams play like this. You know, usually you would have one guy in front of the smokes, you know, focused towards drop or something, or maybe on top of a tree or something like that. So this was actually super cool. I might even pick out this round later and do it a bit more in depth, or just cut it from the VOD or something. But yeah, that was super awesome from Optic. But still, because VP won that many rounds in a row and pretty comfortably, they have more than enough money to buy. So Optic with a healthy buy, this is like, you know, the best way to end the game. All teams have, both teams have full buys. I think this is a mistake from Tarek, and I don't know if it's him, because always, if you're gonna go for that, get a flash, you know, ask for a flash. You see it all the time. When the T's peek from here, they throw a flash over the thing, then they peek. Why go for a dry peek? Why take that risk, you know? And he just gives away a free kill. I don't know if that's because he's not a main opera and he's maybe a ballsy player in general, so he just goes for it. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get that kill, you know, I'm gonna catch him off guard. In my opinion, you should always flash before you take that peek. And in a very important round, his team just won the round. You can see, yeah, they will have money to rebuy, but it's not going to be optimal, and he just gives away an advantage early on to his opponents. So, and I feel like VP is one of the, you know, teams, one of those teams that you really don't want to give them a 5v4. They're just so good at closing out rounds when they get an early advantage. So you can see how they're spread out still, throwing stuff towards drop, wanting to see how the CTs react. And now they're pushing towards mid. Stanislav is alone. He does get a good kill. And they do shut down the drop guys as well. Good tag as well. Okay, let's do this real quick just so we can see what happened in drop. And this is not a bad call. I mean, it's always a guess to an extent, but the reasoning is, what do the CTs do when they're in a 4v5 on Cobble? They basically need to take a risk of some sorts, and most of the time it's gonna mean a stack towards B. So you doing an A split, I think it's a very high chance you're not gonna have to deal with more than 2 players. You know, 1 player maybe around the window area towards drop, and 1 player in A, or just 2 players in A. But if they're both in A and you're doing a split, they don't have anywhere to hide. You're probably gonna win out in that round as well. So who's there? It's Rush. What happens here? Let's fast forward a little bit. Yeah, so they just like they make it so like they want to go B pretty much, but let me see if they actually threw some extra smokes towards B. They didn't. So that's weird. You wonder, why do you go for that when you already have a man advantage? Why don't you just go for a straight up split? Maybe they wanted to, you know, double peek and get a kill here and then force an extra rotation towards B, but yeah, in this case I think that was a miscall from VP. If they just went for, obviously hindsight is 2020, but if they just go for, you know, this split smoke here, they probably win the round pretty easily. So yeah, now you can see Neo only on 2k. They go for a timeout here to figure out whether they want to buy, they want to eco, what do they want to do. You can see that Optic has full utility, full buy. And now, even though it's a T-sided map in general, because of the way the economy is working out now, Optic are in a good position to just win the game here. So they decide to go for the buy. They get the op on Snacks as well. And you can see Mixwell wanted to go aggressive with the op early on. He falls back. The T's are really spread around again, which is fine. Like, sure, every now and then you should like switch things up with maybe a fast execute, but there's no reason for you not to play methodically when the map favors the T's so much. No reason for you to take that many risks, because you know, why give away the advantage that you get by basically just spawning. So you can see them creeping towards a long. Very good flash. Forces Mixwell to fall back. And now they can set up for the smokes. Neo is just waiting for his teammates to get into position. That smoke goes for... Oh, it's actually missed. So that's not good. So they need to re-smoke that. Stanislaw gets traded, and this is where actually, let's do it for Mixwell's POV. See, like, he gets one kill. Naf dies. This was a big one. And that, like, loses then control of the site pretty much. Now it's a 2v2. They can plant the bomb. Still a close round. And now we should just watch Snacks. I mean, look at this timing. Like, I would have peeked right there and tried to kill him in the back. But Snacks is so calm, like so collected. And that's just insane. It's just insane. And obviously, I was saying how important this round is. Like, VP spent all their money to buy. If they lost that round, Optic would have had 14, and VP would have had to buy pistols and armor, or just concede the 15th round to Optic and play for overtime. So Optic in turn, seeing as how they don't really have, you know, everything that they would like for the buy, and they would be in the same situation economically if they buy and lose, they decide to go for just pistols and armor. So yeah, let's move on to the next gun round. What? Why did this happen? This damn game. When do these minor things that happen around become visible for a person? I think it's just experience, you know, playing the game for a long time and then realizing, you know, because once you play a lot, it's different than when you just watch. You know how it feels like when you're in the game playing, you know, in a certain situations, what are the small things that make the difference, right? And what are the key frags that happen, you know, the frags that give away position to your opponents, that give away map control, silly mistakes when there's no reason to be aggressive. Stuff like that, pretty much. No, I didn't do predictions, I'll do it. Wait, what? I'll do predictions after I finish the games. If this goes back to like 5-1, this game is retarded. And it looks like it because it's taking a long time. Please. Okay, like, this is insane. Let's do it like this. Do mouse next. I don't want to do mouse. That game was like just a stomp. Mouse just plays too slow on their T side without doing any. Like, they spend a lot of time on the map without doing anything. You know, it's fine if you're playing slow, but you get map control and then you're like doing stuff. They just stand around doing nothing, and then they run into the grinder and die. You have to click quicker. Notice that you like to say pretty much a lot. Yeah, I'm not paying that much attention about my speech when I do these things, because it's just, you know, I feel like it's the content matters, and I feel even if I repeat myself, you guys can understand me well enough. It's different when I do a broadcast. That's when I really try to iron that stuff out as much as possible. Fucking hell. What's going on? Okay, so obviously the game is nearing its very end. And well, that's sound. Oh, thanks for the subscription, Bankai. Appreciate it. So yeah, you can see how they, you know, VP still very happy with just spreading around the map. They send the op towards A. Yet again, they're spread up. Now this is something that it's fine when you have an op. Usually I prefer when these two players stick together, like one watching Monster and one watching, you know, something like that. Because this way, if the T's go for an A split, you know, you basically have to fight by yourself instead of having a teammate there to trade and all of that stuff. So yeah, you can see how they're pleased with staying like that. The players on air are playing close platform again. And VP is just going for a drive. I'm not really sure why you, like, look at this. Like, at the moment when they go for this battle, contact play, look at this. Like, the bomb is all the way back, Taz is all the way back, Bialy is in drop. So it's not like they're in a position to just go straight A or anything like that. And you're gambling a lot on getting those kills, and it didn't work out for them, and now they're at a disadvantage in a very, very important round. So this is like where Optic really shouldn't be losing this round. They have Bialy working drop by himself, you know, but they are making the call to go towards A. They've had a lot of success towards A, so, you know, a lot of the times these mid-round calls are just based off of gut feeling. And Stan, like, playing an off angle, gets a good kill. And this is now, because he's playing so far up, this is something you should also take note. Because he's playing so aggressively, he gets info very early on, and that gives enough time for Rush to come. Naf is going to be on the flank as well. So even though he just dies 1-for-1, which is maybe not very nice for the CTs, generally speaking, it should be fine in this situation if, you know, Optic doesn't mess up. But unfortunately, I mean, this is a weird angle because you can only see their heads, the one that he was holding, like this one. I mean, depends on the way they peek. So he also wasn't, I think, 100% sure if someone can come A long. So not really an optimal position for Mixwell, it feels like. So Rush dies. He pre-fires because of the shadow, and then he just gets pinched from both sides. So yeah, they're still both very low. And you can see how, I think it was Bialy who just heard Nap, made a small step, and that's why he moves to flank him, and that's why Taz jumps into CT, you know, because they know the position in which he is in and the where he's coming from, pretty much. And you know, even though they're both low, they have such a good position that they're gonna win the round almost 100%. Is this simple raider allowed? I think this is actually allowed everywhere. I'm not 100% sure, so don't get banned because of me, boys. Check that stuff. But I know, I think ESL uses it in their broadcasts as well. So Optic takes another timeout. Obviously, they have their backs against the wall. But yeah, that was pretty much the round that sealed the deal for them. They really needed to win that one. They had the advantage. Now they're, you know, forced to just play with pistols. I think this is where they get a bit over aggressive, where Stanislaw pushes long at some point. And this is where, like, that's such a long spray and he's not doing anything. So after that, he feels like, okay, I have good timing because, you know, no one would expect me coming from that angle. But Taz is too smart for that. Pasha got a kill on a player who was trying to push B long as well. And that's where the round is pretty much over for Optic. So you can see how it's really the very, very small thing. That's why you see everyone say that this is the most competitive major we've had yet. So many teams are close in terms of, you know, skill and preparation and everything. It really will be the smallest of margins that will determine, you know, who comes out on top. And you look at this and you see how close the game was, and Optic lose. And now they're forced to play Astralis, who lost to Godsend. So that's also pretty bad, obviously. So yeah, those are actually the games that I had picked out. So what else was there? Navi vs Mouse, that was a shit game. Liquid vs Envy, that was a shit game as well. Although, I mean, it was entertaining, but CS wasn't really that high level. Is this going to be on YouTube later on? Yeah, I'm gonna upload the VOD. It's gonna take some time though, because I have shit to upload. Opinion and ELEAGUE, very good player. So what do I do now? I didn't watch FaZe versus Flipside. Was that a good game? That was on Nuke. Astralis got sent because it was like, okay, I just need to download the demo. FaZe Flipside and both. I'll see, maybe I'll do both. I'll see what the time frame is. Astralis versus Godsend, Flipside versus FaZe. Download this. Download this. Alright, I'm just gonna go to the toilet real quick while the demos download and all that stuff. So I'm gonna run some ads. streamujem, pa mislim, ne mogu da pričam, mogu da te zovem za 2 sata recimo. Aj, čujemo se kasno. Ćao. Oh, alright. Oh, I hate this. Sometimes on HLTV, the demos, like, doesn't download straight away, it just lag, it just stops at like 70% or something. And we're back. So just need to open the second demo as well, transfer it. And that's it. Okay. Okay, let me just send out a tweet. Okay, moving on to tweet is out. Source for the background, I have it somewhere. Whoa. There you go, boys. Thanks for the subscription, man. Appreciate it. So there's the wallpaper, boys. Just a random one. Looks pretty cool though. And yeah, we're all set. Let's jump back into the game arena. I was watching like Astralis Godsend, but I wasn't really paying all that much attention. I was tired at that point, and I was keeping one eye on the Packers versus the Falcons. I was cheering for the Packers, but they just got wrecked. Should Astralis have banned Train? Why? It's like one of their best maps. They're the ones who broke SK's winning streak. Is this still fine? It is. Play demo. It's the first one up. How convenient. Okay, so because I wasn't really... Ooh, and another one. Peco Burazeru. Nemoj trošiš mnogo love, mačer. So yeah, because I didn't really watch this game closely, I'm gonna go over like round by round and all that stuff. Yeah, I did VP versus Optic. Like, for all you guys that are a bit late, be on time next time. No, the VOD will be up. So yeah. Alright, so we'll do this round by round, just skipping the anti-eco rounds. I mean, this is nice. I can just, you know, sit back. We have camera operators. We have the observer controlling it, basically. Yeah, I mean, it's just like HRTF, is it? It shouldn't be. Why does this happen? I think this should be fine now. Sorry for that one. But it was like this in the previous maps as well, so I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad. I didn't really notice it all that much. So yeah, they lose pistol. Then you force up on train T side with one smoke and one flash. I'm not really sure about that, you know. And Astralis is like a good team, so it's like, why do you feel forced to do this? Why not just eco and then have all you need for the gun round? Yeah, I'll do predictions after I do the last two games. So yeah, this round is just crap. I'm just gonna fast forward it and move on to the gun rounds because we have an extra game to cover. Oh, they get the bomb down in the full eco, of course. So they do actually get the op on device, all the utility they need on the rest of the team. And sure, like, there are rumors around Godsend, Fnatic changing players. Godsend skipped WSG. They lost to Pride in the Las Vegas qualifiers, even though they were looking good at the major qualifier, coming out 3-0. So you think that they're one of the, you know, they're not one of the favorites, that's for sure. Especially, you know, definitely not a favorite against Astralis. But they are still one of those teams that have a lot of very skilled individuals, very dangerous players, like, you know, JW, we all know how explosive he can be. Flasha, one of the most intelligent players out there, also always performs well at majors. And you have like the X factor in Lekro and Schneider, especially with Lekro, who can have amazing performances every now and then. Very strong player mechanically. So they're not a team you want to underestimate, and definitely a team that can be extremely dangerous on a map like Train, especially on the CT side, right? When they get rolling individually, when they get their confidence, they can be very, very hard to deal with. So we can see Astralis early on throwing the smokes, basically just waiting for a reaction from someone from Godsend. But they don't get anything. So now they throw the second wave of nades and go out. Yeah, they just lost like some duels here. Oh, this is where it actually, you know, it became scary at some point. Even though Zipnex has 5 HP, gets a kill on Schneider, who was trying to walk in there. And this is Godsend, you know, making mistakes early on, because I was talking about it in the previous map. You know, you have a 5v2 advantage. Why do you start throwing it away? Look at this, like Pronex turns towards ladder, device gets the kill, and now all of a sudden it's a 2v2 with Zipex actually being on a great flank all the way from ladder. Going towards Ivy. They're not going to expect that. You see that JW is worried about the flank actually coming from inner. Now Lekro is unsure where, you know, you see how he's turning back and forth, not really sure where to go, and Zipnis gets the kill on him, kills him in the back. And now they actually have an advantage. 2v5 turns into a 2v1. Luckily, JW gets some good timing on device and then knows where Xypix is and just gets the kill on him as well. So yeah, that could have been really bad for Godsend. I mean, even though they win the round, they still give away a lot of rifles. Their economy is not as strong as it could be potentially. So yeah, still for them, obviously the most important thing is that they win the round. So you can see how in that round, basically, it was just, you know, Astralis were hoping to get a pick after they threw the first set of nades. Nothing happened. They threw the second one, and then they just don't win some of the aim duels that they've had. They get shut down pretty much. So okay, this is just pistols. Let's fast forward this. So just like that, you're 5-0 down. You know, you went for some of the executes. The CTs didn't do anything, so the CTs just played the default pretty much. I need to close my window, it's getting chilly in here. I think that's why I started sneezing. So yeah, this is where Godsend can, you know, they can go for something crazy. They can try and push Ivy. They can go aggressive with the op towards Ivy. They can go aggressive towards B. They can, you know, do a number of things to throw Astralis off guard. Or they can save that for later if they want to. You can see how this is something they do a lot. Even later on in the round, they're perfectly happy with leaving Flasha alone on B. And, you know, you will see him a number of times play all the way back in this area of the site. I mean, that far back into the bomb site. Because he knows, or they are aware, even with two players, it's not as easy to hold B if the T's use all of their utility there. So, you know, he's in a position where he might hold an off angle, get a kill, but his, you know, mission is basically not letting the T's get all the way here into backline. Because if the T's are contained to this area here and the cities still have utility, it's not as difficult to retake that bomb site. And also, obviously, by the fact that you have 4 players on the outer bomb site, your defense is stronger there as well. So yeah, you see that it's actually interesting that Xypix is the guy that they use. Like, this is what Olaf used to do, jump out. You would expect like that to be someone like Kirby, Dupree, or Device, right? The playmaker. Xypix is usually the one who takes a step back, plays a bit more passive. So they decide to go towards Ivy, which is pretty standard, pretty default. You see SK do it a lot, Navi does it a lot. You know, it's where you exert pressure and try to exert some, get some map control. I mean, Device, Pronax sees him, does a lot of damage, and he dies to the nade. Oh, this is where he flew out of the map. But yeah. And you can see they get the refrac. Xypix is getting put into play, but this is basically, I mean, you know, Lekro is just wrecking them. They're using utility for like further back into the bomb site, but they can't deal with the first point of contact, which is Lekro being here. And he did a great job of changing his position. Like in the first time around, he was inside the site. Now he switches all the way towards here. And this is just, you know, Godsend playing really well individually. Like Lekro in both of the God routes, JW as well. They're just getting the upper hand on Astralis. You know, that round takes a different turn if Lekro just dies here. Even if he gets traded, that might be good enough for Astralis to get towards the site and at least get the bomb down. But because he just gets through 2 kills straight away, he completely shuts down that push. So now, even though it's like 6-0, they buy it. And this is still not like danger territory for Astralis, right? You know, they can still win something like 3, 4, even 5 rounds on the T side, which, especially if they win second pistol, is a good situation for them to be in. They're a very, very strong team on train, especially on the CT side. I feel like they're good on T, but they're great on CT. So now they're in a difficult position. Now this is where like the macro thing comes into play, right? Game plan and in-game leaders trying to outsmart each other. Sorry for tapping on the table, yeah. Because what happens here? Astralis loses 2 gun rounds. They went A both times. So what do they do now? You feel like the obvious thing is let's try and go B. But on the other hand, Godsent is probably expecting that. Okay, A hasn't been working for them. They're gonna try and go B this time. Maybe we put some extra personnel there, or you know, just have it in the back of our minds. Maybe save utility on A so that we have it for the retake and so on. And it's difficult for Astralis to make the call here if they keep, you know, they're losing rounds on A. This is where it's very important for you to be able to understand why are you losing rounds. Are you losing rounds because the call was bad? You know, because you just ran into their setup, you didn't make the right call? Or are you losing rounds because the execution was bad? Like the call was good, but someone messed up a smoke or a flash or the timing was off. In that case, you can keep running similar things or going to the same bomb site if you think just like small adjustments will get you to win the round. What I would do probably, which is not like 100% sure thing that it's gonna work, maybe you can try and fake B, right? Because they think that you're gonna go B, so you fake that, or go B but in 2 waves, right? Throw the first set of nades, so then they maybe think it's a fake, they go back to A, and then you go into B. But that might not work at all if Godsent is perfectly happy with just having Flasha alone on B until the bomb is planted. So it depends on a number of things. But I just wanted to explain to you guys that it's not just about the fact that the score is 6-0. It's the fact that it's difficult for Astralis to find the right call, because nothing has been working for them so far. You know, ideally you win a round by doing something, and then you can use that later on in the half to make another call and bait reactions from the CTs and try to gain some sort of advantage in the mind games, not just on the server. You can see how Godsent is, you know, doesn't care. They just decide for a timed push towards Ivy. They get a ton of information, and you will see how Schneider and Lekro are going to start moving towards B pretty much, while Astralis is setting up for an execute. And Flasha is very good at holding these like off angles, realizes that he just needs to get 1 kill by time, and he gets that kill. The rest of the team is there. You can see how Lekro again just gets, like, you know, sprays down 2 players. This is like, you know, huge stuff, considering he was basically just out in the open. Pronax gets the kill on Dupree, who was on the flank, on the lurk outside. And Device just gets shut down in the end. So great play from Godsent early on the T side, on the CT side. Analyzing phase versus flip side, most likely I think I'll have just enough time. Similar stream than yesterday. I don't know. I think so. I think Chad. Oh, actually, I think Chad is gonna be AFK until the playoffs. Sponge, I think, is moving or something. So I don't think there's gonna be that stream again. I'm considering streaming the games and analyzing them instead of doing it like this. But I have some things to do today, so I'm not gonna have time to do them all. So yeah, this is where Astralis like doesn't get a plant yet again, so they just bite the bullet, they go for an eco. They want to have that op on device, all the utility. I feel like when you're not able to plant the bomb, when you're losing a lot of rounds, where nothing is working for you, I feel on train what you can go for almost always is just send 5 players B and get the bomb down and try to, because if you do that, you can always, there's always a possibility of your individual players making a good play, winning the round for you, right? You can always have someone try and make a play, go for an aggressive peek, maybe device with the AWP, try and get that advantage, or have an execute in place where you would throw the smokes, but then someone would flash the players through to try and get positioning deep into the bomb site, right? I think it's very difficult, and I don't think it's good for you if you're losing rounds on the T side to keep just playing default, because your players are losing confidence. You're doing the same thing. The opponents have a lot of confidence. They are not afraid to go for those aim duels against you, where sure, if it was a level playing field, you would probably win. You have an advantage, but because they have all the confidence, you just keep getting picked apart. So we'll see what Astralis decides to do. And you can see what I was talking about. Now, you know, God said, let's change it up a little bit. Have JW aggressive with the op, have Flasha push ladder until he gets contact, and another, you know, advantage for them early on. And you can see how, because of that, Astralis is just forced to, like, they just, you know, they lost control. Okay, let's just go yard straight away. And again, it's Lekro getting a kill. Dies now, but they're being forced to go for these plays, basically, and that's never optimal, you know, and they can't get the immediate entry kill so that they gain ground coming into the bomb site. They lose one person, and that is just buys enough time for everyone else to come in. And at that point, they have too many angles they need to cover, and it's almost impossible to win the round. Damn. I don't know what's going on. Sorry for that one. Yeah, I mean, rumors are rumors. I don't know. Where there's smoke, there's fire, boys. There's a saying for you. You feel like at this point, Astralis is running out of ideas, basically. They tried a lot of stuff. Didn't really try to go... I mean, they even tried going B. And now they're like, okay, let's just try and run out yard. I mean, just try anything at this point. And they do get the good kills. Device, like that second kill of the Schneider was huge. And now it's a 1v1, always, you know, a bit difficult. Flasha has no idea where Kirby might possibly go, and Kirby goes B. So let's fast forward this a little bit, what happens. Yeah, I mean, Flasha has to cover so many positions that it's almost impossible for him to win this round. So finally a round for Astralis, but that's the issue. They win a round and only Kirby is alive. And you look at their buy now. Glaive has to go for a Tech 9, Zipix as well, so they have all the nades. Dupree is going to pick up this rifle. I think that Kirby dropped for him, yes. So, and they don't have almost any money left. So this is like the nightmare scenario for them if they lose this round without a bomb plant or anything, and then have to eco again. I'll leave the general questions for later, guys. Just like for now, if you have any questions regarding the game or something that's happening, or you want me to explain something, I can do that, but we'll leave the general Q&A for after I'm done with the games. So you can see Astralis, you know, figuring that, okay, let's just speed up the pace, and it worked for them. They won the first round. Now they were in a 3v2. They got the bomb down yet again, so this is way more than they were able to accomplish up until this point in the game. And Device a bit unlucky there on the flank. But luckily for them, Glaive runs through that molly with JW through so that he could try and cover both lower and upper at the same time. But Glaive was too close, just ran through it and manages to get the kill on the diffuser. Astralis' biggest flaw in this game, for now, Astralis isn't making any mistakes. Like, they're just getting outplayed and more than anything else out-aimed by Godsend. You know, they're just not able to get the entry kills when the execute starts, pretty much. But they do manage to string 2 rounds together. Still, they don't have a lot of economy going in. And I think it's precisely because of that Godsend decides to force as well. They give the op to Flasha, who's gonna go aggressive, and they have 2 players pushing towards inner as well. So they take a risk knowing that their buy isn't optimal, and let's see how that pans out for them. That's a bit risky. You feel like you should throw that molly. You know, because if you throw a molly here, he can't stay there at all. Yeah. This is just great play from Godsend. You have to give them a lot of credit. Like, their movement on the CT side, and actually the timing to decide in which round they're gonna be aggressive and in which part of the map has been really, really spot on. If it's Pronax making all of these calls, then him and Lekro basically are winning them this game. The calls and Lekro getting those, denying those entry kills for Astralis, let me put it that way, when they were going for those executes on the other yard. I mean, of course, JW is playing really well. I mean, the whole team is playing well. I just think those are like I think those are the 2 most important things for Godsend right now. On YouTube, yeah, they'll be on YouTube. $12-3 or 13-2 makes a difference. I think every round makes a difference. Every round makes a difference. How many times have you seen team make a comeback? You know, they're up 11-2, and then they put their, you know, they take their foot off the gas, and they lose the last 2 rounds, and the game ends up being like a 16-14 or something like that. You know, you need to realize the level of CS we see right now, and the level of these teams, and the skill and all of that. You really can't afford to be complacent against any team in any situation. I know that's hard to do for players, you know, because you feel so confident. You feel like, there's no way we can lose this game and all of that. But it's really not like that. And we had a lot of examples of teams being punished for that. I mean, just look at the Envy Liquid game yesterday. That's the perfect example of what I'm talking about. That 1v5, which was played terribly by Envy, and then they get a lot of confidence, and they almost lose the game. It goes on to triple overtime, so every round matters. So still, you feel like if Astralis can get 4 rounds here, that's great for them, considering how the game started. So I don't think Astralis has to do things differently against Optic. I think they were just outplayed here. They didn't have a good start either. So it's too early to call that, you know, Astralis is shit or anything. It sucks that they have to meet Optic this early on. I mean, I think it sucks more for Optic than it does for Astralis, but yeah. So again, you can see that I think this is a read that they're making. Maybe the problem with this is that when Astralis goes Ivy, they make some noise, they throw some nades. But when they don't want to go Ivy or outer, they don't send anyone, which is a problem. If you have that, that's a tell. And that's why Godsend's second round in this half go for this timed push, and again they're gonna get a lot of info and be able to rotate back either towards B or, you know, just have someone on the flank. And I think Dupree is actually gonna check it now. Yeah, which is tough now for Astralis. They know that they've lost control in Ivy, so what do? you know, the problem with that is if you want to go yard, but they know that you're not Ivy, then you can have everyone playing this close up. And if you have players that close on the CT, it's actually very hard to get out of ladder and mid because they're tight choke points. You know, you can have an op hold like this angle or this or something like that, a player close, and it's very, very difficult to get out towards outer bomb site. So you can leave 3 players here, 2 players here as CT, and you're pretty much covered. So Pronex decides to sit next to the dumpster, pretty much. So yeah, luckily for Astralis, they're not holding those tight angles. And Lekro keeps on beasting, Pronax flanks, and that's the thing. Just great movement from Godsend on the CT side. Astralis, like, besides the 2 rounds that they won, they never had an advantage at any point in the round, you know. Never had a 5v4 almost. It's very, very difficult to win rounds on the T side when that happens. So now they're, you know, a limited buy. Obviously, they decide to go for utility over weaponry to have more nades. Okay, that's a lucky tag. Dink through the smoke. And they're super spread out. JW was aggressive as well with the op. So they do a fair bit of damage early on to Godsend, but you just have a hard time seeing as how are they make an execute work with just pistols. They try to go for a B fake, but JW sees everything. They know it's just a fake pretty much. They get a kill on Schneider yet again, but they still have Lekro to deal with. Alright. That was pretty fortunate, and they're actually going to make it work. You can see the difference. Like, this is like, you know, Schneider dying immediately, doing nothing. Lekro dies again. Not again. Lekro dies as well. And that's it. That's the round. That's all the difference you need. It doesn't matter that they only had pistols. What was different in previous rounds was that Astralis could not get those entry kills. They would just lose at least 2 players and wouldn't gain any ground before they get a single kill. So this is still not impossible. Like, this is still not impossible, especially if you think that Godsend has flaws on their T side, in a sense that if they still play too loose, they don't have that. If they still don't have that many set executes, which is something you really need on train. So if Astralis gets a good start, you know, this game is not unwinnable for them. But I think this is where they just lose the pistol as well. Lekro takes the head off of Glay with the deagle. Or they're just waiting around. They realize they have the advantage. Someone's going to try and make a play. Kirby does that, gets killed, and they just lose everyone. Yeah, they just got destroyed aim-wise in this game, it feels like. I think for the sake of time, I'm just gonna stop this game here, because sure, Astralis wins rounds, but I don't know. It was 69, right? So Yeah, I'm just gonna stop the game here. I mean, it's 15-3. Constant is gonna win one round anyway. 16-6, yeah, so who cares? Just flip side versus FaZe. Just sick play from Godset on the CT side, both individually and as a team. I think that's probably the best you can see Godsend look on their CT side. Having good calls and playing well individually, I think that was them on their A game. And then it's a matter of, then it's a question of how often can they play on that level. If they can play on that level throughout the tournament, or like for the majority of the tournament, then they and on multiple maps, then they can, you know, be a serious contender. I just don't think that's very likely. Alright, Nuke, FaZe versus Flipside. Just like a quick intro. So, Flipside, Legends team, beat NIP in a best of 3 at Cologne. They were pretty dog shit after that for an extended period of time. Incredible losing streak, but then they bring in Electronic instead of Davkost. He brings much needed firepower to the team. They seem to mesh well. They've started playing much better. Had an okay performance at DreamHack Winter. They actually knock out Dignitas at that tournament, and they're one of the teams that has picked up playing Nuke as well. They won DreamHack Leipzig, so coming into this tournament with a lot of confidence. Blade, known as a in-game leader who does a lot of preparation, a lot of anti-threading as well, that they have a strong system that they play in the T side. On the other side, you have FaZe, a team with a lot of skilled individual players, and notoriously they've been struggling to get out of groups for more than a year. Then they bring in Kerrigan as their in-game leader, and immediately they find success. They have good runs at tournaments, making the playoffs at multiple tournaments, but because they played that many tournaments, they didn't have time to practice. So now they actually, before the major, they had time to practice, you know, gave time to Kerrigan to implement what he wanted within the team. And I think they will be one of the, I mean, dark horses in terms of making it deep into the tournament. I think they will make the playoffs for sure. So FaZe is also one of the teams that plays Nuke. So in that sense, it's pretty interesting to see how it pans out. You can see that Blade used his utility to get inside vents, and that's all the utility that they have. But he just gets killed by AZ, and this is where it's going to be very, very difficult for Flipside to do anything, pretty much. You can see that they're spread out, they're just running around all over the place. Markelov is already on Heaven, gets that kill. And they are going to like split upper. Oh god, not the right click. Yeah, that was unfortunate, but because Markelov died on Heaven, you feel like they lose this round either way. So the all-important T-pistol doesn't go the way of Flipside. They force, they actually drop the scout to Electronic, not to... Is that because he has the best spawn? Because World Edit is their AWPer, so yeah. Yeah, it feels weird you go for this force, one smoke on a map like Nuke. Okay, that works. That was a sick shot. And another one. Why do they keep challenging one by one? Just group up now, Flipside. You have like 5v3 and Kerrigan is super low. You know that he's tagged. And this is a horrible situation. They decide to push ramp. They realize they need to try and make a play somewhere before they get overwhelmed. So Blade actually had the bomb, so he went, you know, he got away just in time. Seems like they're content with going down secret. This is where FaZe basically needs to risk it. They need to like either go upper or lower. They pick upper. Flipside goes lower. So, of course, the force buy looks like it's gonna work. That was funny. How does that connect? Yeah, so sucks for FaZe. It's just that I don't know. That first shot was sick, then AZ was stuck in like main, he gets his head blown off by the deagle, and at that point it's just horrible. So FaZe forces right back. Kerrigan actually buys a FAMAS and Kevlar. Not really sure why that is. Why not buy a UMP and all the nades? Interesting choice, but let's see how it pans out. I didn't watch this game, so I have no idea what was going on. I know FaZe won in the end, but... Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, that's sick. Rewind that shit. This shows you that FaZe is prepared, right? Because this is something, sure, in general, teams would have pushes towards lobby to change things, but you need to have those when you're low on money as well, like with just pistols. So let's check it out. Do they blow out the door themselves? Yeah, AZ has an aid. Yep, just running and gunning with the 5.7s. I don't know why you keep challenging by yourself. Oh, come on. They're not gonna lose this round. Oh, they're 5 and 7 HP. Alright, Rain gets the kill. Oh god. That was like a 5v2, for Christ's sake. Spoilers. Well, sorry boys. So yeah, that was super sick. From FaZe. And it's also like, yes, you commit a lot of players to lobby, but they take a lot of time to get from yard. If they want to go main or secret, you still have enough time to rotate through vents. So it's perfectly fine. I don't know. I would prefer if you guys all talked in English. That way everyone can understand each other. So makes more sense, I guess. So great stuff. FaZe brings the round right back. Flipside doesn't want to force back into that one. They're satisfied with ecoing and then buying up AKs. This is the problem, like, they don't have ideal utility. Okay, these are some early nades. What's this? What's going on? Damn, that looked sick. Wait, let's see what they did. Are you allowed to cast games? Yeah, I think I can. I can do it in English even, not just in Serbian. Because just watch GoTV. Chad was doing it yesterday. We were all on stream. I mean, we were all on TeamSpeak. He was just streaming. So I'll see. Maybe I'll just do that instead of this. Maybe I just stream live. I don't know what would work better for viewers or myself. So that's decoy. That's a nade. That's just a random smoke. Yeah, they're just like... just run in. Good pop flashes. I feel like this smoke should have landed somewhere else. So that maybe helped Electronic to get into main. But yeah, they don't care. They just decide... they just decide, let's run in. Which is great. I think a lot of the times teams just get caught up in this... yeah, we need to play first round slow, go secret and ramp and split, and that's a bit too predictable. And this way, I think there's no way FaZe expected Flipside to run something like this in the first proper gun round. So, very, very good stuff from Flipside. FaZe buys yet again, forces. What is this? A Bison? That has to be a misbuy from Kerrigan. Like, come on, man. Well, Rain, that's payback for the second round where he got wrecked by the scout. This is just one of those shit happens situations, you know. It's like nothing you can do. He just headshotted you with a scout. You can just cry and be silent in your corner and watch your teammates play. So now, Flipside knows that if they force, it's like a very weak buy. So they're waiting out the little utility that FaZe has. They're just being careful that they don't get flanked somewhere. But they still need to decide where they want to go, and it's 50 seconds, you know. If they go yard and secret now, it's gonna be tight in terms of time. 45 seconds. You feel like this is where maybe they should just group up ramp with 4 and use their utility once they get down to cut off choke points. And they do group up towards ramp, but they just get flanked. Alright. Pretty chaotic at the 1v1. Rain wins it. That's the problem. That's what I was talking about on Cobble, right? When you lose a person in default, it gets very tricky. You know, and it's not like you could even trade that kill. It was just a good shot. So, in my opinion, in those situations, it's always better to group up. That way you limit the unknowns that might happen, right? So FaZe winning the 2 force buys already. Flipside 1-1. And now they decide to force back. They have 3 AKs. Seems like a fast play towards yard. Towards secret. Very, very fast play. Only blade on the lurk. And he also threw a molly. So that's also nice. He throws... how do I show this? Damn it. Yeah, so he throws a molly over there next to the vent towards Squeaky so that the player actually can't run into the vent and rotate towards secret. Or he has to spend a smoke to be able to do that, which buys enough time for the players running secret to get towards the site without having to worry about that position from the vents. So that's a small detail, but it's pretty cool. Still, Rain and AZ are there in time. Let's see what happens. Alu gets the kill on Blade, who was trying to flank. They should be able to plant the bomb. I know what electronics... oh yeah, he's worried about vents. And Kerrigan is like, just decided to hide there. This is just chaos pretty much, but it was good reactions from the players from FaZe. Kerrigan was also in a good position just being down lower straight from the beginning, pretty much. So, Flipside do get a plant, they do get a couple of kills, but they don't win the round. So, I feel like this is where they'll just eco. They'll have a healthy round next time. On Nuke, you see teams force more often in situations like these, simply because they feel pressured to reset the CTs. You know, they don't have as much confidence in playing like a full-on gun round because the map is CT-sided. So you would see some teams force there because they know that FaZe's economy is being pressured. But Flipside isn't one of those teams that win that many force buys, I feel like. So let's move this round. So they get just a single kill, not that much action. He throws this smoke from spawn, basically. So they throw those smokes pretty fast, so they can like get secret control very early on, if they want to do so. And you can see Electronic is already there, and that forces AZ to react. Rain is still watching yard, but you know, watching for someone to try and flank from that catwalk area. Gets a free kill on Waylander. This is where they like wanted to do a lower split, it seems. Play just waiting in hot. But that's gonna be extremely hard to pull off now when they're a man down. They are like, it seems like they're gonna just wait for Electronic, try to see if he can make a play. And Alu spotted him now, so the jig is up, and yeah. I mean, they're gonna go for an execute on upper, but oh, he actually gets caught by that flash. Why didn't FaZe have more players upper? FaZe should have never lost that round. That was a huge deal. Let me see, why did they not have more people upper with Kyo? Right, so Electronics coming back. He's spotted by Alu. Kerrigan ramp. AZ lower still. Rain as well. And Alu is watching yard. Yeah, this was like, you need to have more players. Like, they're playing too scared here. And they saw Electronic coming back, so that should be a tell that they don't want to go secret. So I think that was just a bad play rotation-wise from FaZe. You know, just leaving Kyo by himself on upper. And he was a bit unlucky. I mean, got caught out by that flash, so yeah. This is not the first time they send Alu with the op. And Blade again finds his way towards Vance, but Alu is just reigning supreme with the AWP. Maybe they felt like he wouldn't have enough money for it, so they like risked it a little bit with a faster play, but that op just completely shuts it down. So yeah. Without yard control and being a man down, I mean, it's almost impossible to win the round on the T side. It really has to be a blunder from the CTs because you don't have anywhere you can get aim duels that are favorable. Like, it's only ramp, and that's why the ramp players, once they get contact, they just run back down because that buys time for their teammates to rotate in and all of that. Then you have to worry about the million angles on the lower bomb side. So, yeah. Okay, let's move on. Just pistols. So this is not terrible for flip side yet, but they need more. You know? They need like at least a round, preferably 2. Because you feel like FaZe is going to be able, no matter what, to grind out a couple of rounds on the T side. So they switch Alu's position. What? They go for another Rico? Alright. Didn't even notice that. Oh, I hate it when I see an op on the T side, but... And he's not gonna find anything because they moved Alu to ramp. And then the problem is if you don't find an opening kill somewhere with the op on the T side, it's very, very difficult for it to be useful. Because you have a lot of like a lot of weird angles, a lot of close quarter combat as well. Now they're like moving him to ramp to try and find something there. And Alu now moved to secret, of course. So they're getting out positioned here. That's the problem, like you go for those splits and just lose a player, no trade. It's so difficult to make that work. Like now they're stuck below ladder. He hears them jumping up. Alright, still gets caught. How is this happening? Kodal. I didn't watch all of the games yesterday. I didn't watch this one. Yeah, this is another like situation where FaZe has the advantage. They have all the info, and still they even had like 3 players in the upper bomb site now. It's not like they didn't have enough players. It just feels like they were not in good positions. Why did they... Who covered main? Because they had like, even though they had all the info, players were still coming from heaven, main and hot, so you feel like they should have secured some of those positions so they can only focus on something else. But yeah, that was FaZe messing up that round pretty much. So another force buy or a weak buy from FaZe. They've been winning their fair share of these though. But if Flipside wins this, it's probably gonna be 9-6, so a huge round. They swap guns because Rain is low HP, gives the gun to AZ. And like Flipside has sick positions in this round. They have a lot of control. Electronic up top. Looks like just upper split. Why are they taking so long? What's going on? You can see how just FaZe loses all map control, and like this is fine. Like you lose a round like this, you lost map control, you get outplayed, you get outflanked, that's fine. But they had the info, they had the control in the last round, and they still lose it. That was the problem. Surely Rain doesn't win this. Yeah. So they do manage to grind out the rounds. FaZe goes for that inner push yet again. They did have Brain just with a deagle. Alrighty then. Why not? Yeti91, thanks for the donation. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the stream. So yeah, I got distracted there a little bit. That was 6 shot, but please don't tell me Rain wins this. All right. So in the end, it's actually a sick half from flip side. You can see how it was like pretty up and down, back and forth in the beginning, but those rounds in the end that were like a slight blunder from FaZe really gave flip side a lifeline, so to speak, right? Because 6 on the T side without like being 3-0 up, right? Because of the pistol is very, very good. Obviously, the pistol is going to be super important here. You know, if not, if FaZe loses it, they need like, you know, 7 gun rounds or, you know, 5 gun rounds and a couple of anti-ecos. But they don't care, they just go for an upper rush. Very well executed. They got all the kills early on and yeah, they don't care. So first gun round, you see, no, I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry about that one, guys. Life is hard. I have to deal with the demo UI, being shit at like setting up my stream and all of that. But yeah. Okay, 11 to 6. Alright, so here we are. FaZe going straight towards catwalk. Oh, it's actually an upper split. It's pretty dope. Max B342, thanks for subscribing, man. Appreciate it. But yeah, a cool little idea from FaZe to change the pace or to start off fast. Pretty much, it's just that usually that's why you throw a smoke somewhere in here, right? Because Markelov just was able to shoot them in the back. And those players are crucial because they force the attentions of the guys who are playing somewhere in rafters or wherever to turn. And that allows you to actually get into the bomb site. No sub icon. Yeah, my graphics guy from Roomfire is a bit busy with the major and all that stuff, so... And I'm just a poor Serbian, man. No emotes, just keeping it basic. No, I'm not gonna do the mouse game. This is the last game. I'm gonna do like predictions and Q&A after this one. So we can see after that round, FaZe slow it down. They go for that default, taking yard control. I mean, they started off with Alo on the op, which again I dislike, but they wouldn't do it if it's not working for them, I guess. 6 shot. And they get rid of Markelov as well. That's the problem. You feel like too often, still, the CTs, the players are not like, they're not set up on yard. They're just playing like two individuals, right? I mean, Blade was alone in secret, trying to do something, and okay, Electronic. Blade was alone in secret, and Markelov was alone towards garage, and they both just died, but Electronic bailed them out. So, good stuff from him. Now, flip side, have some economy going for them. They are, you know, FaZe doesn't have enough money for an op. So let's see what FaZe decides to do now. They go for the fast play towards secret. It's gonna be a lower split. Markelov checks it, knows no one is there. They have an idea they're secret now. They get the trade. The guy lower. They lose ramp as well. That guy should have just fallen back, I think. And now FaZe has positional advantage as well. Okay, that was actually a kill. Because all of Flipside's players are coming from the same direction, right? So yeah, that's the problem. I feel like if it's hard to draw on this map, but let's say on secret, when you you know, you always want to have crossfires, like have one player vent or stairs, the other player here. If you think they're gonna go secret, you can't expect one player to be able to hold this by himself, you know, and if he dies 1-for-1, that's very, very bad for you. It's like, it sucks, you know. I think more teams need to be committed to having multiple players there and taking a risk somewhere else. Maybe just leaving one guy on the upper bomb side. And this is interesting. This is like, I mean, Flipside decides to force. If they lose this round, FaZe has 14, so they either need to force again or concede overtime. They do have the op on World Edit, but he's not like trying to be aggressive with it or anything. And now we have a full-on execute come in towards upper. But Waylander already pushed ramp. Rain is trying to flank from Cat. They trade with Waylander. This is just a mess. mean, world that it's trying to go into hot with the op. I mean, this round was like pretty chaotic. This is where you feel like the players, the flip side's players individually, they weren't 100% sure of, you know, what's FaZe doing, where are their players. You know, a lot of them were like going back and forth, looking at different angles, and a bunch of them just got shot in the back. So yeah, that was super chaotic. So I mean, these are just gonna be force buys, it seems. FaZe just waits out the utility. Then they group up, they can hear Markelov. He's gone. I can see how Flipside is pressured to try and do something. They push lobby, but they don't find anything. And with the equipment advantage, they can just go ladder after they know that they have cat control. Yeah, this game is over. That's the problem with the economy in this game. You can see, you know, in a bunch of these rounds, Flipside in the second half didn't really have a normal buy. You know, didn't have an optimal buy, didn't have all the nades they want, all the equipment they want, so that sucks. And they get crushed. So yeah, that was pretty much all of the games. Not much time left before the official stream starts, so I'm just gonna move straight into predictions for today, and then doing like a general Q&A for a little bit, because I'm pretty hungry as well at this point. So let me just open like this, so you guys can see it properly. So Mouse versus Hellraisers. I don't know, I just hope Mouse don't play Cobble. Like if they end up on Cobble, it's Hellraisers, easy. If they end up on something like Mirage or Cash, Mousesports has a good chance. The problem is I feel like Mouse is very, very dependent on having a good start. If Mouse gets like, if they start CT and start like 4-0, 5-0, I feel Mouse takes it. If not, I think Hellraiser does. So I'm gonna cheat on this one, boys. I'm gonna go with Hellraisers, because whenever I predict against Mousesports, they win. So either I predict right, or Nico wins, which is fine for me. Navi Envy, I'm going with Navi. Envy was super sloppy yesterday against Liquid. They barely managed to win that game. While Navi, okay, they did like trash Mouse, but they just looked very much on point. So Navi is one of my main contenders to win the whole thing. And that's why I'm going with them. Hellraisers, will they let Dust 2? I don't think so. They can use their ban on that pretty much if they want to. FaZe versus SK, now that's going to be a super interesting one. The problem with making predictions here is a lot of these teams, we're not sure how they're going to look like in terms of maps, in terms of play, because they've had so much time to practice, and also a bunch of them are playing with stand-ins. So I'm not sure where, you know, after that performance from SK yesterday on Mirage, which map do you want to play against them? You probably don't want to play Train. Do you want to play Dust 2? I'm not sure. Do you want to play Mirage? I'm not sure. For FaZe, maybe something like Overpass, but then you don't know what SK is going to veto, so I'm really torn on this one, boys. Alpha Loon, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with SK simply because FaZe was... oh, we got and another one. Saturn. Thanks for subscribing, man. I'm gonna go with SK because they, FaZe did make those small mistakes. Maybe it was just jitters because of they just played the first game and they know that they're favored against Flipside. So I'm gonna go with SK, but I think it's almost a 50-50 game in my eyes. Flipside versus Liquid. Wow. Bennett Elray, thanks for the subscription. And another one. Flipside versus Liquid. Yeah, which map? I was surprised that Liquid was actually willing to play Cash yesterday. I mean, they probably were hoping for the other map, but they ended up on Cash. I don't know why they vetoed Cobble instead of Cash against Stanway, but alright. Against Flipside, I'm actually going to go with Flipside here. I feel they're going to be the better team. North versus Fnatic. Oh, North versus Fnatic and Optic versus Astralis. That's so brutal, man. That's going to be so brutal. The problem is, like, obviously you would say that North is the favorite and they're not playing tomorrow. Their VP is playing today. It's just that because it's after midnight EU time, so they're all playing. They just had the last game of the day. So North versus Fnatic, yeah. We don't know anything about Fnatic still. I mean, we saw them on Cash. We saw that they can play. They were a bit unlucky in that second half. They lost a couple of silly rounds. The problem with that is, I would say North, but the thing is, if Fnatic gets off to a good start, especially on the CT side, and if they start shutting North down, I'm afraid that North is going to choke and they're just going to straight up lose to Fnatic, who's going to play super loose and basically harass them all over the place. That's my worry about North. Because that's what happened to an extent against Gambit. So I'm still going to go with North because I feel that they will be able to reset mentally after yesterday. I feel like they're going to be able to gather themselves and say, okay, guys, listen, we didn't play like ourselves. Let's just play like it's any other tournament. If they're capable of doing that, they're going to beat Fnatic. Optic versus Astralis. It seems like fate that these teams are, destined. They're basically destined to meet each other all the time. ELEAGUE, ECS, all of that. And now at the major, where they're both a game down. So here, I'm going to go with Astralis because I think Astralis was simply beaten by Godsend. They were just outplayed, while Optic did beat themselves a little bit to an extent. I just feel like Optic is not ready yet to really perform at a major. I feel like just they need more experience. I still think that they might make it to the playoffs. I mean, if they are 0-2, it's going to be very hard. But I'm going to have to go with Astralis here. They're one of my favorites, obviously, to win the whole thing. So when it comes to maps, Cobble is going to be out from Astralis, and Cash. So what can Optic hope for? Basically, Overpass and Train. Those are the only two maps that they can do something against Astralis, I feel. And Astralis is very strong on both maps, despite losing on Train yesterday. So if I were Astralis, I would veto Overpass as well and maybe just play or hope that it's like... Or no, you can leave it in and then it's a randomizer. But yeah, hope that the randomizer takes it to Train. Godsend versus Gambit. This is an interesting one. This is a matter of whether you're going to see the same Godsend you saw yesterday. If you are, then that's a very scary team, and they're definitely a favorite against Gambit. But Gambit is a very good all-around team. You could see yesterday in the game against North, they didn't have like Hobbit with 35 kills or anything. Like Zeus was the top of the scoreboard, so it was really a team effort. Even Dosha, who's been the most quiet player on that team, had some very, very big rounds, especially in the first half. Good clutches. In terms of maps, I'm not really sure for that one either. I think Gambit plays Train. Not that much. It seems like they play the same maps. Dust 2. Okay, not really Cash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 maps. So they kind of play Nuke. I feel like Godsend vetoes Nuke. They veto Cash. Godsend vetoes Dust 2. They veto Mirage. And then it's like Train overpass Cobble. Or maybe they decide to veto Gambit. So it's like Cobble overpass. I think it's gonna be like Cobble overpass. And I'm gonna go with Gambit. I'm still gonna go with Gambit there. I'm not sure that actually Godsend, maybe they don't play Cobble. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, they play it a little bit. Let's check that real quick. Yeah, their Cobble is shit. So they're gonna ban Dust 2 Cobble, but they don't play Nuke at all. I think Godsend, if Godsend has 3 vetoes, they veto Dust Cobble Nuke. And Gambit vetoes Cash, and then they can choose whether they want to veto Train or Mirage. I'm guessing they're going to veto Mirage. But look at this score. This is pretty sick. Their only defeat is against Hellraisers, which was 16-40. I'm not sure. It says 5 players core, but let's see. Their first game was... Yeah, this is actually this lineup. So yeah, probably between Train and Overpass in the end is what we're gonna see. Unless Gambit gambles by vetoing Train, but then they would have to leave something else. And I don't think that would be smart. So yeah, that being said, I'm still gonna go with Gambit. I have faith in Zeus that he prepared the team very well. Because when you look at it, he's basically making that a mini Navi, you know, in the way they play. And just different players and not as practiced, because they didn't have as much time to play as he had, obviously, with the Navi lineup. So I'm gonna go with Gambit. I really like them. I'm a bit of a Gambit fanboy, so yeah, Gambit for this one. VP versus G2. I feel that I'm gonna go with VP just because I feel they have a huge advantage in vetoes. VP bans Cash and Dust 2, and what can G2 play against them? Nuke. I mean, VP can even veto that if they want, and G2 vetoes Mirage and Train, and then it's like Overpass Cobble or something like that. If G2's only chance is if they get Cobble in the randomizer, because as far as I know, that's a map they play at least a little bit, even though VP is much better on it. So yeah, for me, VP there should be a no-brainer. The only caveat is that we saw Shock say in his interview that they didn't try to, you know, complicate things too much in their boot camp, that they are relying more on their individual skill, and if they are on point individually with you know, Shock, Scream, all that stuff. RPK as well had a sick game, so I feel that that might be the only saving grace for G2. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of predictions for today, boys. What I feel like it's gonna happen. So yeah, I guess we can do some general Q&A stuff for a little while before the official stream starts. I don't think I'm gonna stream the games in the beginning. I have some things to take care of, like, so maybe the last game, maybe I come back for Optic Astralis, and for... Oh, okay, I need to like do the slow mode thing now, I think. So, yeah, maybe I start streaming from Optic Astralis and see how that works out. And just commentate live. Godsend win. Just outplayed Astralis individually and on a team level. Inner dynamics within mouse. Why doesn't this chat just stop? About the op, should it be reworked to also be useful late round on T? I think, like, I personally would like to see quick scoping back like we had it in 1.6. I think that would be a lot of fun. That would make it easier for players to play close range with the op. Because you see no scopes now and all of that stuff, but it's super random. It's like, you know, it's like the simple one. That's totally random. And I hate random stuff pretty much, so yeah. Use of NiKo in mouse. Do you think it would be more successful being the second or third guy? Yes, I think like I don't think you should use NiKo like they use him on Cobble. They have 4 players push A, then he's lurking in drop. I think he should either be allowed to try and make an opening by himself where he feels like he wants to do it, like connector on Mirage, for example, on the T side, or you do put him as like the second or third guy in, the guy that gets the info and then just cleans up the site. I feel that's the best way to use NiKo. Inner dynamics within mouse. How is the team leader, influencer, and so on? Oh wait, let me just tweet out that I'm done. Oh, right. I should have probably tweeted this before I started doing prediction. I don't really know. I mean, NiKo is the in-game leader, but he's not really suitable for that role, in my opinion. You know, that's him having to do too much for the team, and I just don't think that's the best option. There's a lot of NFL fans in Serbia. I'm not sure. Kasad watches NFL as well. He used to play it, so I usually talk to him about it. Revert the opener for give it quick scope and give it quick scoping. Do you think SK will go far? Yes. Is 2e2k cheating? No. Shuffle after the major. What shuffle? Can Optic still make playoffs? Yes, but it's gonna be super hard, especially if they lose to Astralis. Because best of ones, you never know. CIS Dream Team. There are a lot of good teams. I mean, I think like if Gambit gets Mir instead of Dosha after the major, that would be so sick. But Dosha has been playing better yesterday, so maybe that won't be necessary. We'll see. Navi this major, I think they're super strong. I mean, we're yet to see. We haven't seen them in a long time, but I mean, they obviously have firepower. It's just a matter of whether they will have time to, you know, practice and everything's out as a team, and their map pool as well. But we saw them play Cobble yesterday. They were super strong, so that was like a good sign for all the Navi fans out there. What in-ears are the pros using? I think it's preference. Some of them are using the Bose sound cancelling one. Some of them use like the Steel Series in-ears or whatever. So it varies. For flip side, that problem was always like the firepower, right? They have the strats and all of that, but they just sometimes lose out straight on firepower. They don't get the kills they need to get. So we'll see if that changes now with electronic. Henry G new haircut. interesting. Is Guardian back? Too early to tell. ELEAGUE best NA player at the moment. Yeah, him and Rush probably. Fallen versus Pronax. I mean, similar to an extent. Fallen does more preparation, I feel like. He has more set stuff that he can call. But regardless, both are very good at mid-round calls. I think Fallen is also very good. It's just that they run different styles, so it's in that sense hard to compare a little bit. Do you think Astral is true? No, I think they were just outplayed. How far will Astralis go in your opinion? To the stars. Are you fluent in Russian? Not fluent, but I can get my way around speaking a little bit. Most unbalanced map right now, probably Cobble and Nuke a little bit. HLTV top 20. I think it's really cool. I loved the player interviews as well. I think that added an extra perspective to it. What should I get to eat? Eat something healthy, man. Don't eat pizzas or burgers. Get some like chicken and rice. I don't know what would the ideal Swedish lineup be for me, because I'm not really sure about the personalities and everything. You know, that those players would need to be able to listen. I would definitely put Threat in there, and then I'm not really sure which 5 players. It really depends on who gets along and all that stuff. Stream starts in like half an hour, something like that. I think Mouse Sports will win a major this year, not with this lineup. That's a good idea. Remake the Resident Sleeper emote. Earn money. I just don't stream all that often because my schedule is packed, but actually it's not going to be that bad in the next 2 months as I thought it would be, so maybe I stream more often. We'll see. You did mention you'd consider coaching mass sports. I would consider coaching any team, just not right now. I don't want to coach anyone right now, basically. It's just like a lot of work, not work, it's much more stressful than just like doing desks, and I have fun like doing desks and traveling and hanging out with the guys, so I'm probably gonna do the same for this year. Wow, this is like, I'm actually on the top of the questions now. I'm missing questions a little bit, but yeah, maybe sometime in the future I'd be up for coaching, and then whether it's Mouse or someone else, we'll see. Scream, I think it's mostly practice. I don't think it's like genetic that he has good aim. Do you think Assad was a good pickup for Renegades? Yeah, I think it was a great pickup. I think it was a huge mistake for Mouse Sports to, you know, not keep working with him, because it was obvious the results that, you know, that he had with the team, and immediately after that they didn't really achieve much. Their play certainly deteriorated. TAC 57 P250 need nerf. I think in pistols, for pistol general, you need to increase the movement in accuracy, and you need to lower armor penetration a little bit. I think with those 2 changes it's gonna be fine. Right now they are a little bit overpowered. Navi and Envy will play. I'm not really sure, because we don't know what Navi likes at the moment, but perhaps a Cobble. I think Envy is in a tough spot in that veto. Liquid's performance. I don't think they can make it out of the groups, honestly. Which system do I prefer? I don't really care as much, but I want best of threes. I would prefer Swiss best of threes. I think that would be the best we could get. Do you think Borderlands inconsistency is an issue? Yes. I think it's one of the things holding back flip side as well. Why didn't Bialy make top 10? I don't know. I think it was just like outside of it, as far as I understand. A couple of players were there. Alright, so the E-League thing for the major, I just didn't get asked. Like no one, no one asked me. I just guessed that they don't want me at the event for some reason. I don't know what the reason is. No one, like no one told me or anything. So, yeah. I don't know if anyone will be streaming like Sponge yesterday. Maybe I will, but really later on, maybe for the last 2 or 3 games of the day, because I'm probably gonna be AFK until then. What could I do to enhance my understanding of how to spot advantageous map positioning in a general sense without only playing? I didn't see the end of that. This is too crazy. In general, for angles and all that stuff, for positioning, like watching POV demos, POVs of players is very helpful. Also, you need to like realize your strengths and weaknesses, right? Like, are you a very good aimer? Can you just hold an angle and if someone comes, he's gonna die? How's your crosshair placement and all of that? Can you take just straight up aim duels, or do you need like to use your aim or whatever, use your positioning or whatever to put yourself in a more advantageous position? So yeah, it really depends on the situation. You also need to be aware of what's going on in the round in general, right? No reason for you to be super aggressive if you already have an advantage. Watch the clock. Do you know where the bomb is and all of that stuff? So a lot of things come into play when you like, what you should always have in the back of your head is, what is the best move I can make for my team to win the round? And that's it. Sometimes it's going to be playing super aggressive, sometimes it's going to be playing super passive, sometimes it's going to be try and get as many kills as I can, sometimes it's going to be let's just try and survive and buy time for my teammates to make a play or come in for the rotate. Lord and Savior Matt Ryan. It's gonna be hard stopping that Atlanta offense, man. I can tell you that. I'm cheering for them at the Super Bowl. What would you change about Mousesport's team to make them deadly? I would change the way they play their T sides, and I would try to get an upgrade for Dennis. How long would it take for a group of 5 people who have never heard about CS to qualify into a major if they were taught the game by a pro player? Oh, it's difficult. Like, I think that's like they need to want to play. They need to have some. I take a number of years, I guess, to get on that level individually. Probably like a 2-year span at least, maybe year and a half. Who knows? More like 2 years. Yeah, I think you'll catch me at a DreamHack NA event for sure. Inferno, I'm guessing very close after the major. That's usually when they do that stuff, so teams can prepare for the next major. Valve won't allow pro players to play community DM. I think there needs to be a compromise. I understand all the cheating stuff and all of that, and you want to make safe, but just get a couple of dedicated servers for that. I think players should be able to warm up properly. And it's all the stage computer, so it's a dual stage setup. So it's not just the team that's playing the game now; it's the team that's playing the next game that can't do it either. So I think that sucks for the players. Yeah, I don't think Liquid are making it out of the. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Just there's like too many teams out there that are simply better. Odds and chances. I mean, if they can play on a same or a similar level like they had against Astralis, I think their chances are looking pretty good. Bible thump. I didn't catch that Sticko statement, so can't really comment on it. How was your road from player to analyst? I was an observer first. I did an event like the European Championships in Belgrade while I was still playing, and then the TGWR, the Serbian guy from HLTV. It's so hard to pronounce his nickname. That does all the stuff, like the top 20 stuff and all of that. He recommended me to ESL if they needed anyone, so they invited me for Katowice. So I was just like observing, but I saw that like I thought I could bring something to the desk. So then I was just like bugging people to give me a chance to do an event on the desk. And it was DreamHack who gave me the opportunity at DreamHack Stockholm. It was the qualifier for Cluj. That was September 2015. So then I got invited to more events. Face It also invited me for their finals, which they did with DreamHack at DreamHack Winter. And then from 2016, it just like exploded. Everyone started inviting me. Nico more chance in a team like FaZe, definitely. UMP too strong at the moment. Good armor penetration and damage. I think it's too high. Finals best of 5. If it's on a separate day, perhaps could be fun, but I think it's like if it actually goes to a 5th map, I think it's like a bit too much for the players. In my opinion, I think you get too exhausted perhaps, but maybe I'm wrong, you know. I think for now we're fine with best of 3s. We're going to stream today's games, maybe at the very end or something. because I'll be AFK for the first part. Alright, I think I'm actually starving at this point, so I think I'm just gonna like finish it up here pretty much. Then I'm gonna watch the games a little bit, then I need to go out and do some stuff. So yeah, thanks to all of you guys for tuning in. I'll see if I'll start the stream up for the last couple of games of the day, see how that goes, and what's better, you know, doing content like this or just streaming the games and talking about them live. So yeah, I'm gonna run some ads at the very end. Appreciate if you just like stick through that, just leave it open before I shut down the stream. So yeah, thanks for watching everyone, and take care. See you later.